Good morning from Uncle Johnny's Hostel in Irwin, Tennessee. This is just a wonderful little place to take a 0 day. They rebuilt after Hurricane Helene, and it's really impressive. But I am going to work on catching up on my videos some today because I'm way back in the Smokies still in video land. So I've got a lot of catching up to do. But in the Smokies, on the 2nd through the 5th day of that stretch, I was with my friends and in the moment. I was with the Three Musket veterans hiking, and then my friend Chris Pacer joined me on the 2nd day. And I just didn't want to be distracted from their company and just living in that experience. So this video will be a little bit different. It's going to be just more of voice overlay with video and photos. But once I leave the Smokies, I'm back to by myself most of the time, and it'll pick back up the way I've been doing things. So I just want to jump on though and say thank you for all the love and support. It's been really fun, unexpectedly, making these videos, and I'm not great at it, but I appreciate all the kind comments, and it sometimes gives me that boost I need during the day to think about nice things people have said. So I really do appreciate it. And I thought this would be fun to create just as much for my own posterity as sharing with others. But I think the more rewarding part is really letting other people experience it vicariously through my hike. So keep enjoying, I hope, and I'll keep heading north. From Spencefield Shelter, we left and were quickly joined by Pacer, who had climbed up from Cates Cove, already gaining about 3,000 vertical feet, with no end in sight to the gain that day. We ascended Rocky Top and Thunderhead next, and fun fact about Rocky Top, it's actually in North Carolina, even though the song might lead you to believe otherwise. We continued the climbing. This is a really hard and technical stretch of the AT, and it feels like the vertical gain will never end sometimes. Late that afternoon, after 12.25 miles, which felt like double that, probably especially to Chris since he had climbed all the way up from the cove to meet us, we arrived at Silers Bald Shelter and prepared our dinners while we watched the setting sun. We were ready for some well-earned rest, but also excited for what lay ahead the next day. The next morning, we continued our journey along the ridgeline, and our first stop was to the wreckage of a plane crash from 1979. I come from a long lineage of aviators, including my dad and my brother, so plane wreckage is not always something I want to see. But this one has a happy ending. The pilot crashed into a snowbank, and he survived. It was pretty miraculous, the whole story, and you can read more about it through my friend Jeff Wadley's book, Mayday, Mayday. Excellent book if you like aviation history as it pertains to the park. We continued ascending, and the views just kept getting better and better. Our goal was to reach Kuwohi, the highest point on the AT at 6,643 feet. This used to be known as Clingman's Dome, but it was changed a couple of years ago to Kuwohi, which means Mulberry Place in Cherokee. We didn't expect to see anyone else there because the road that leads to the dome is closed until early spring, and we were shocked to find 2 day hikers who had hiked all the way up from the road, wearing jeans and carrying nothing more than a small backpack. They were probably just as shocked to see other people there too. The views could not have been better, and I was so grateful that Nick and Dylan and John were able to experience the dome on such a crystal clear day, because it's certainly not always the case. We took some fun photos and then made our way back to the trail. As we descended from the dome, we were met with an icy mess. Luckily, we were able to skirt around it on the side of the trail, but if you weren't able to do that, microspikes would have definitely been in order. Luckily, we all had them in our packs if we needed them. The ice let up, and the views just continued to be gorgeous through this stretch. I just love everything above 5,000 feet in elevation and any part of the park. Although we knew we had a special surprise waiting on us at Newfound Gap, we were really getting tired, so we decided to take a quick break at the intersection of the Road Prong Trail. Chris and I have really fond memories of this particular trail, hiking it at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning as we were training for our fastest known time in the Smokies. We loved sharing our stories with the guys while we continued on to Newfound. At Newfound Gap, my friends Richard and Debbie Way, along with their friends Ann and Jeannie, had a smorgasbord of trail magic waiting on us. It was so good to eat fresh fruit and all the cheese and crackers they brought, but the best part of the whole experience was enjoying their company. Debbie finished her through hike of the Appalachian Trail years ago, and she's such an inspiration to me in so many ways. After leaving the company of my dear friends and all their delicious trail magic, we still had about 3 miles to get to the Icewater Spring Shelter. When we arrived, we were met with a full house of weekend warriors. So I opted just to pitch my tent out in the front lawn outside the shelter. It was a gorgeous night, and the weekend warriors had a great fire in the shelter, so we all hung out and told stories. It was a really special night, and they were so much fun. The next morning, I woke at sunrise to get my coffee going. We had a really big day ahead of us, covering nearly 20 miles to get all the way to the Cosby shelter. It was really hard to get out of that tent to get packed up and going with that view, but those miles weren't going to hike themselves, so I eventually did. We said our goodbyes to the new friends we had made the night prior and hit the trail, ready for some more epic Smokies scenery and good conversations. The trail presented another icy chute, and we were able to skirt it once again by going around it rather than donning our microspikes. Along the way, we could not resist the allure of stopping at Charlie's Bunion. We were especially excited to let Nick and Dylan get out on the rocky outcrop to have their pictures made. And once again, I was so grateful that these guys who had never seen the Smokies were able to experience them with such magnificent weather. The Smokies magic continued after we left the Bunion, from the lush forest floor to epic views at every turn. It was easy to remember why I had moved here and why I loved this park so very much. We shared stories as we hiked, and the time passed by pretty quickly, but probably not quickly for those who are not used to hiking 20-mile days. It was a little too early in the season to expect to see an iconic Smokies black bear, but we did spot a white-tailed deer. Eugenia and Annie Mae did not want to be left out of all these photo opportunities, so we found a fun spot to pose them for their own photo shoot. Tiny treasures always delight me in the Smokies, just as much as these epic views. Dylan's phone battery had died, so I loved sneaking tons of shots of him so he could send them to his family back home. We stopped at the Tri-Corner shelter for a quick lunch and then continued on with more miles to make, passing through one of the most benign stretches of the AT in the Smokies where I fell on the tip of my thumb and tore the ligament clean off several years ago while training for the fastest known time. Continuing on, we passed by the wreckage of an Air Force fighter jet that had crashed in the 80s, killing both pilots on board, sadly. Then we had some obstacles to get through before finally reaching our camp at Cosby Knob Shelter, a very inviting respite at the end of a long, hard day of hiking. The fifth day went down much easier than the one prior. We only had about 10 miles to hike. First, we had to stop, though, at the place where years ago, Chris decided to stop and look over this old stone wall. He stepped right up there, slipped and fell backwards. It's amazing he didn't get hurt or even killed, but he fell right on his pack and was able to get out safely. We finally exited the Smokies, but not before putting the permits that we had started with into the box indicating we had made it safely through. We took one more quick break at Davenport Gap before continuing on the last couple of miles. It's a really steep descent before you get to I-40. Finally, we were there. We made the final steps all the way to the other side, where Chick-fil-A and a smorgasbord of drinks and candy and fun food had been brought to us by Larry and Chris's wife, Jamie. Best trail bosses ever, and we love them so. The guys actually came home with me and Larry and spent the night in the vacation rental cabin that we owned so they could resupply and refresh, and I was so excited to provide trail magic while actually being on the Appalachian Trail myself. Dylan, John, and Nick would leave the next day while I would spend another couple of days in town just getting everything in order and tying up all the loose ends that never seem to be completely tied when I leave home. As hard as it is to leave home sometimes, it's always so exciting to get back on trail to see what adventures await me next.